Well, hello, everybody. This is week two, the week two hangout for our edX course, Mobile Computing with App Inventor. Welcome. I have two guests this week. One here in Hartford with me is Grace Ryu.
Hi.
You've probably seen Grace's comments and signature in the forum. So she's one of the she's a student of mine here at Trinity. She'll tell you about herself in a moment, but she's been a beta tester for the course and currently a teaching assistant. And then in Durham, North Carolina, is another TA, and Alicia Morelli. She's in North Carolina, and you can see her in the other pane of the Hangout. I'll let her talk a little bit about her background. And Alicia has also been a beta tester and a teaching assistant for the course. So with that, I'll let Grace go first. So Grace, tell us how you got interested in this and how you got interested in App Inventor.
I first learned about App Inventor since I started to work for Mobile CSP. It's Mobile Computer Science Principles. And I was working as a research assistant to help teachers, public high school teachers, to learn and teach computer science AP level course. And what they used in the curriculum was App Inventor, and then it was really fascinating because people who have no background in App Inventor, no background in computer science could jump in and learn about programming and computer science. So that's the one reason I liked App Inventor. And last summer, I worked as a software developer in App Inventor dev team, and I was working for Backpack. I don't know if anybody has heard about it, but Backpack is actually the icon located on the right upper side of corner of Workspace in App Inventor right now. So it has been really great since I get to know about App Inventor, and the working with App Inventor has been pretty awesome.
Yeah. Thanks. Yeah, Grace mentioned this backpack feature. This wasn't available while we were doing some of the videos in the course, but you all will see it in the upper right corner of the blocks that are a little green backpack icon. If you right-click on that, you can see it'll come up with a link to some documentation so you can see how to use it. This is going to be a very useful feature. Perhaps we'll even get to use it in the course. What it allows you to do is it allows you to copy blocks from one project to another App Inventor project within a single session of App Inventor. So you can't log out of App Inventor and come back in and use the blocks. But say you want to copy blocks from one project and reuse them in another. You can copy and paste them using the backpack. What we might use it for later is perhaps I'll give you some code to include in one of your apps that will, avoid having you to write the code, and we can distribute the code that way because you'll be able to copy it right into an existing project. It should also help if you pair up with somebody if you're doing a team project. So it's a very nice feature, and Grace worked all summer on that and got it implemented into App Inventor. The other thing Grace mentioned that's important is the Mobile Computer Science Principles project. We're going to have more to say about this next week. Our guest next week is one of the principal investigators of that project along with myself. And what we're doing is we're training high school teachers around the country in the United States to teach a new advanced placement course in computer science that's based on the curriculum that you folks are seeing a little bit of. And Grace has been one of the assistants for that project as well, not only helping with the training of teachers, but also visiting them in their classrooms during the school year. Next week, we'll talk about that. So for the teachers in our community, that should be an interesting hangout to attend. Next, let's switch over to Alicia, if she's still there. Alicia, are you still there?
Yep, I'm right here.
So tell us about your background in App Inventor.
Well, I started using App Inventor a couple years ago when my dad got interested in it, and he was like, you have to check out this great program. It lets people who don't have a background in computer science program app for mobile phones. It's really cool, and it's going to make computer science accessible to everybody. And so I checked it out, and I thought it was pretty cool. And so when he was doing this course, and he needed a little help beta testing, I thought I would join him and help out a little bit.
And your background, you also have a background in CS, right?
Yeah, I have a coordinate degree, computer science and biology,
And
from Trinity College.
yes, let's not forget that. And you've also worked as a software developer for a while, right?
Yeah, about 6 years of work in software development.
Using what language?
Boolean Delphi, which is Object Pascal.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
I never got to do app programming, but it's exciting to do it now.
Great. So I want to thank both Grace and Alicia for joining us and for being so helpful in the forums. I've been, keeping a close eye on the forums and noticed that several of our teaching assistants have been also very active in the forums. And I have to say, I'm so happy to see how helpful all the students in the course have been, helping each other out. So we're deliberately trying to hold back on some of the threads and let you folks answer each other's questions, because I think that's a great way to get involved in this. And it looks like we've got some, pretty experienced, folks in the course, as well as people who are new to computing and computer science. So it's great to be learning from each other. I'm learning a lot, and I hope you guys are. So now we can, see if you folks have any questions you want to ask. If you're watching this live, you can type questions, and we are looking at the Hangout screen here so we can see your questions as you ask them. Let me switch over to the Q&A view. Okay, so one question has come in that it's for both Grace and Alicia. After you're comfortable with App Inventor, what other languages might be interesting to try, and why?
I can answer the question. I
Okay.
think one thing that will motivate me to learn more other languages would be like related to mobile application development. So it can be either Swift for iOS app or just Java for Android app. But those are the things that I thought about when I was doing App Inventor. Maybe I want to go further to develop mobile applications. So I was looking for what are the other available languages that I need to learn in order to build the mobile apps. And those that I found are Swift and Java. I mean, I have a little background in Java, but Swift is a pretty new language. So I think that's one thing that I want to learn.
Mm-hmm. How about you, Alicia? Do you want to also answer that question? What other languages might be interesting to try, and why?
For mobile development or just in general?
So just as in general.
I actually can't speak to that because I spent years developing in a language that's sort of considered obsolete now. But I will say, that programming in App Inventor kind of is exciting. You get to do a lot of stuff, but you also can sort of sometimes reach a limitation. And doing a written programming language where you actually type your code out sort of eliminates a lot of those limitations. So it can be very exciting to move on to one of those other languages.
Great, thank you. If I can just add my 2 cents on that one. If you're going to go on to app development in Android platform, then of course you're going to want to learn Java. Android Studio and is the name of the development platform for the Android system, and it's Java based. So that would be an important language to study. And it's quite a big leap from App Inventor to Java programming for Android. And as Grace mentioned, another option would be Swift. I've seen a little bit of Swift. I haven't really used it myself to develop any apps, but it also would be a fairly large step. So it actually might be better if you're a novice and you wanted to move in that direction to just take an intro programming course even in Python or some other language and then move towards either Swift or Java. Both of those are, by the way, object-oriented programming languages. Oh, good. We have a question from Randy McDonald for Grace and Alicia. After your will there be a way for App Inventor users to transition to a more native Android platform? I've heard the App Inventor Java Bridge and Java Library. Do either of you know about that?
No, I don't think I've heard about Java Bridge. Maybe Java Library.
Yeah, I can answer that. Yeah, Java Bridge is something I think that was developed by Jeff Gray at the University of Alabama and his graduate students initially, and it's being used by Dave Wolber, who, by the way, will be our guest in week 4. He's, if you don't recognize the name, he is the primary author of the App Inventor programming book, the first one and the best one out there for App Inventor. And he's been using the Java Bridge. He teaches at the University of San Francisco. He's been using it as a way to transition from App Inventor to Java in his intro course at the University of San Francisco. What it is it's not a platform for converting your app into a Java code that you can then build out in Android. Rather, it's a way to look at the Java code that makes up the components in App Inventor, such as the location sensor. You can look at the Java code that's used to implement the location sensor. So it's a good way, he's finding it to be a good way to introduce students to Java programming and getting them to build some simple apps in Java that are based on App Inventor apps. And then he moves on to teaching Java. Oh, good. So someone has replied that they've,
That's the same person.
yeah, that Randy McDonald has replied that he has followed Dave's course in a box. So Dave has a lot of tutorials and educational materials available in it on appinventor.org if you want to visit that site.
Is there another question?
So here's a question. One big debate in mobile computing is about web programming versus native apps. Do the three of you think that the future is in native apps for particular devices or general purpose web apps?
That's a great question, I think.
Either you want to take a crack at that?
Well, I think it depends. For some apps, it's better to have just make it available no matter what like OS you have on your whatever device that you have. So such thing as like what could it be?
Camera or sensor?
No, I was just thinking something about some company, they want to make a mobile app, but then they thought that people would not necessarily download their app, although they want to use it on their mobile devices. In that case, I think it's better for them to have a web application that's mobile friendly for devices rather than having mobile app and let people to download it. But such as like Facebook or Instagram, Twitters that people are always on, I think it's better to have their own mobile apps. So I guess it really depends on like what kind of mobile apps or what kind of web application you want to have.
Alicia, do you have any thoughts on that?
Just that I think that web apps are sort of necessary in order to get sort of your name out there if you're a company. People are going to be surfing the web mostly for information on whatever your company does, and that's how they would encounter your company. And a mobile app would be kind of a step further. Once you get your customer base, you could encourage them to download your mobile app, and then they could utilize whatever your company's resources are from that point.
Good point. If I can add to that, I think one of the products in this area is Phonegap, which a couple of years ago a student of mine used as a as a platform for his senior project, where he built an app, a web app, and then ported it using Phonegap to both iOS and Android. At the time, Phonegap was still fairly impoverished as a platform, so there were certain things you couldn't do that you could do, say, on a native iOS or native Android app. So I think there's some catching up to do, but the software of those kinds of products are probably, you know, closing the gap, pun, between the native ones. Although at this point, I think my own preference would be to develop in native. I think a professional developer would probably also say that if you're going to be building apps for the marketplace, you're going to need to go into native platforms. Let's see, do we have any more new questions? Oh, here's one. Tika. Is there any plans to integrate App Inventor with something like GitHub? Well, App Inventor is an open source project, and it is available on GitHub. The software that is used to implement the platform we're using. I don't know whether you're aware of that or not.
I don't know, maybe the question may be something like, is there going to be any component in App Inventor that will allow people to work together? Sort of thing? Like having a repository and contributors, things like that. I don't know if people.
And that would be, you know, I think one of the limitations we've found in our classrooms is being able to work in teams on projects. But features like Grace's backpack should help a little bit with that. Dave Wolber has implemented a feature called the gallery, which allows you may have seen the tab up on the right side of the screen in the App Inventor platform that allows you to share apps. I think GitHub would be another nice platform. Of course, you can save your App Inventor projects in GitHub if you like. Perhaps, you know, that might be a way to save versions that's more comprehensible than the way they're currently saved on App Engine. So that's a good question. I'm not sure we have the right answer for you, but
you should have asked it to help last time.
Yeah. Alicia, do you have any thoughts on that?
No thoughts.
Okay. Let's see. Does anyone have any questions about the discussion topics for this week, which was about open formats for saving data, such as photographs and music, and versus proprietary formats? One reason I asked that question, in addition to the fact that it seems to fit into what we're doing with JPEGs and bitmaps, is it also is going to figure in week 4 when we start talking about the internet, where what we're going to learn is that the protocols that we use to manage the internet, these amazing systems, are open, non-proprietary protocols and standards. And it's a very important principle there for getting the internet to be the success that it is. So that's one reason why I at least wanted to introduce the idea of openness versus proprietary at this point. We'll have more to say about that in upcoming weeks. So we may have time for one more question. Are we about out of time? Let's see, do we have any? Okay, well, let's see. Any last thoughts from our 2 teaching assistants? How do you think the course is going on the forum?
Well, it's been great since we started like 2 weeks ago. I mean, the setup might have been a little bit of hectic for some people, but I believe in that a lot of people have gotten help from us. and got figure out like how to get things done and then move on for week 1 and week 2. So I'm really grateful that people have moved on and find that App Inventor is pretty interesting and this course is good. So it's been really great. I hope for the rest of the course, people will enjoy as much as they have enjoyed this time. Yeah.
Thanks, Grace. Thanks for being our guest. How about you, Alicia? Any thoughts before we wrap it up?
Yeah, this is my first MOOC, and it's been really fun to see sort of how people get collaborative in the forums, and it's been great to see users sort of responding to the content. Sometimes they post suggestions for the instructor and things that could change, and it's just been really cool because it's more of an organic being than sort of a course where a teacher stands and lectures. In my opinion.
Great, thanks. Okay, so I'll wrap this up. Thanks for those who were able to attend live, and thank you if you're watching this in recorded mode. Great work so far on your apps, and great work supporting each other in the community forum. I think that's been one of the most amazing things in my experience in teaching. So we'll see you starting a new week tomorrow, week 3. We're going to be doing a walking tour app, and we're going to be focusing in on, again, location awareness. But we're going to dig into it a little deeper than we did in week 1. So look forward to seeing you all in the forums. Thanks. And thanks, Grace, and thanks, Alicia. And thanks to the other TAs who couldn't be here.
Bye-bye.
Bye.